Hi everyone, it's Andrea Tooley. Thank you so much for watching this video. You guys are going to be so excited because today I'm here with Hannah Barrett.
Hi.
She is a pre-med student and she is going to give you the lowdown on life as a pre-med, which I need you to tell me because I haven't been a pre-med in a really long time and I think it's completely different from when I was there. And so I'm so happy you're here, Hannah. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. I'm happy to be here too.
Thank you. Well, tell us about yourself. Kind of where you're from, where you go to school, all of that stuff.
Well, I'm from Rochester, Minnesota, so home of the Mayo Clinic. I am going to be a junior in college at Emory University in Atlanta, Georgia. I am an athlete, so I'm actually a swimmer, and I have to get used to balancing swimming with school all the time, along with friends and everything else.
Yes.
But it's quite a ride.
That is amazing. And you're spending your summer here in Minnesota?
Yes, I'm actually working in one of the departments, nephrology department, in a summer undergraduate research program working with polycystic kidney disease.
That's incredible. And what kind of motivated you to do that over the summer?
Well, I don't really have much time during the school year with swimming and academics and studying all that. So I look at this as, okay, I'm going to use my summers wisely. And I have really good resources here living by the Mayo Clinic. So I applied for a bunch of internships and I got in the nephrology department working in the Huang lab.
Wow, that is so cool. And you're doing things with cells and
Yeah, so
really basic science.
I am part of kind of a new project working polycystic kidney disease and trying to find a gene overexpression, and we actually did. And so it's really cool because it's the beginning of this project, and now there's so many more doors that just opened and possible treatments because this disease is uncurable. So it's just really interesting to be part of this and see it progress. And I was in charge of cells and lots of responsibilities,
Yeah.
but I really enjoyed it.
I bet you learned a ton of different techniques in the lab.
I did. It's interesting because you're taking these bio classes and you're like, oh, okay, I understand the idea, but I don't understand the works of it. Like, how does it actually happen? And you get to this lab and you're like, oh, so that's what a Western blot is. It's a bunch of gels and transferring and antibodies. And they're like, okay,
It really
makes so much more
together.
sense. It does. It does.
Well, I think that's great because I feel like lots of people are very intimidated to try to seek out research projects, and I felt that way. Like, I'm not a basic scientist. I don't know how to do PCRs, and so I think just exactly what you did, just going for it, and you learn as you do it.
You do. You learn so much. It's kind of incredible because you're put into this lab situation. You're like, okay, I know something about cells. I know nothing about antibodies.
Right.
Nothing about really the kidney. I haven't taken anatomy yet or physiology.
Right.
And they're like, okay, research this, and then you're assigned this protein, and you have to figure out the pathways, and it's a bunch of paperwork and working with cells, and you kind of put this together, and you're like, okay, I am now somewhat of an expert on this subject, and I know how to affect a lot of things, and it's kind of cool to see how it applies and to actually see it. Like, I shadowed a nephrologist, people with PKD, and I got to see like how this protein could possibly affect people.
Right, so absolutely from bench to bedside, and that's what makes it so gratifying, and I think that's awesome that you've done that. And so for everybody out there, if you're nervous about getting involved with research, I think you just kind of have to dive right in and you get passionate about what you're doing because you're learning more and more about it.
Yeah, I'm in, it's called the SURF program. It's Summer Undergraduate Research, and you basically apply, you get a hold, just get in touch with people you know or researchers that you hear about, read a couple of our papers, email them, because a lot of people want to mentor others, and there's so many opportunities. I know I'm fortunate to live in Rochester, but I know there's so many going on in Emory. They have the same program all over the East Coast, basically anywhere where there's a college and a clinic and a biology department or chemistry department.
You can do it.
Yeah,
that is amazing. And after only 2 years of college, because you just finished sophomore year, right?
Yes. It goes by really quickly.
It's amazing. So back up a little, and tell us kind of what made you decide to do pre-med. Were you always pre-med when you first started Emory, and kind of how have you progressed through these first 2 years?
I'm not gonna lie, Mayo has a very big influence in Rochester. I always tell people growing up, especially in high school, when people are like, oh, what do you want to be when you grow up? Everyone's either doctor, nurse, or engineer, because we live with IBM also. It's an interesting city. Yeah. Very interesting. We get people from all over the world. And so there's a big influence. Both my parents work here. But I mean, I knew there were other options, and I enjoy learning about the science and nature. You can ask my mom, and she's like, Hannah always liked to be outside, and I used to have a babysitter, and she'd take us to her farm, and I grew up with horses and cats and dogs. Wow. So I love biology. I love nature. I know some people who know me are kind of like, really, what? I'm like, yeah, it's I love being outside and interacting with living beings and learning the systems. And so I was always interested on that track.
Sure.
And it's kind of sparked my interest on how come this happens, which happens to that. What is driving everything, basically.
Right. That inquisitive nature, I think, really suits people for medicine, because you have to always be asking why, and you have to want to know.
And you have to want to be on the track too. I'm realizing that it's quite a journey and a time commitment, but I think it's for a good purpose. I like helping people. I like working with people.
Yeah, absolutely. And what has it been like starting college as a pre-med? Because I remember when I started college, everybody's pre-med. And everybody says they want to go to medical school. And then slowly, as the years progress, the numbers kind of dwindle. But you're at a huge, Emory's big, right?
It's 5,000 undergrad. Okay. I've heard people say that they visit my campus and they think it's a lot bigger. I'm like,
that's smaller than I thought. Okay, good. So that's similar to mine.
With Emory, you're either business or you're pre-med, and there's that small division line. So a lot of people, I think, stay, or at least they start medicine, they stay in the medicine, either doing a PhD or nursing. But the classes, people soon realize, are very difficult.
Yes.
We're kind of notorious in our biology and chemistry department for the weed out. Yeah, especially chemistry. Wow. I think if you ask a lot of people, they're like, oh yeah, organic, that's hard. Gen Chem, freshman year, that's hard too. Yeah. At least it was for me.
Yeah. And how did you get through it being an athlete as well? Because that is a huge, that's something completely different that you're piled on top of all of your schoolwork.
So I've actually been swimming since I was 3. So I've gotten really good at managing my time and prioritizing my time. I don't like to procrastinate. I know that's a little weird for some people, but when you grow up, when all you do is eat, sleep, and swim, that's what you do. All my social life, at least in high school, was swimming. All my best friends in high school were from swimming, and so I'd get my social life during practice, and I'd go home and do my homework, eat, and go to bed.
Wow.
And I think I'm very happy that I kind of got into that rhythm, because it carried me through college, and now I have some of my friends are outside of swimming, but I have time and I know how to prioritize my time.
Yes.
And there's some days where I don't have time, but I make it work. And so I've just gotten really good at trying to put my priorities straight, and this comes first, then I can do this, and then I have free time.
Exactly. I think that's the key, is really being on top of your schedule and always knowing exactly what's coming next and what am I doing next, because you don't have the luxury of wasting time. You have to utilize every spare minute, right? And what's it like these days just being pre-med? Are most people taking the MCAT after junior year? And they've changed the MCAT now, so there's more classes you have to take. I've heard that people now are wanting to take it twice, and that's a thing. And it's very different from when I was going through.
I honestly would say it's mixed. It really depends on who you ask, because some people are like, I want to go straight into med school. Right. Whereas me, I've realized that right now I don't have time, because I would have to take it junior year. Yeah. And I don't have time right now, and I haven't taken physics, I haven't taken biochem to take the MCAT this year. Yeah. And I want to take the gap year, because now applying to med school is so difficult and so competitive that you need that extra year of experience and papers possibly to get in. And so my plan, and I know a lot of people are on this track where they're going to go through their junior year, then senior year they're going to study for it, take the MCAT, and then take a gap year. like during that gap year, apply to med school.
Okay.
And then get in.
And that's become more of a regular thing.
I think so. I think it's a lot more regular than it used to be, at least.
Yeah.
From everyone's mixed, but I'm going to do the gap year.
Yeah.
Just trying to fit everything into my schedule is difficult, and I like it though. But I think for me, that would be the best track.
Okay. And what kind of things do people do during the gap year? What have you thought about doing during the gap year?
I did an internship last year at Mayo, and people during their gap year were kind of basically assistants. I don't know the word for it, but I worked in an integrative physiology lab where we were doing human subjects, so they would be on the monitor or like on the computer watching the blood augmentation index and like every now and then record it. Mm-hmm. They were helping with the subject. They're kind of just hands-on, writing papers, getting experience working in a lab, shadowing doctors. Yeah. Now med schools want OR hours and
really,
it's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah. And I definitely think it's doable, but you have to really kind of plan ahead.
Yes.
What I've learned like volunteer hours, and they want experience, and what else do you do besides school? I'm like, okay, well, I have to, and you have to enjoy what you do too, because you can't just walk into an interview being like, I do this, and this, but I'm not really committed to any of it.
Exactly. You have to show that passion. You can't just be checking things off a list. Yeah. But it's so hard. That seems really hard. And so most people with their gap year are trying to do something clinical or something where they're getting more experience with the science. They're not like traveling Europe or something.
Yeah, and I know people are, and I would love that, but with swimming I can't study abroad, and that's okay. And I've learned to kind of choose like what I want and what is my end goal, and maybe in the future I'll have time. Mm-hmm. I love traveling, but I was like, well, I have to plan my summers smart and be efficient. Yes. And I actually next week going to Thailand with our swim team, so
oh my gosh,
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with that. Best of both worlds.
Yes, you get that with the swim team. That's so cool. And I was just thinking, too, with the gap year, I bet it's a good way to probably make a little bit of extra money because this is, with undergrad and medical school, it's such a huge financial burden. And so being able to take a year to at least make a little bit of money might be helpful.
I get a stipend, which is really nice. So I have some, like, extra spending money for the year, and that's kind of what I use throughout the school year. And then hopefully I'll do something next summer. But, yeah, it's a nice little cushion.
Yes, exactly. I think that's great that more people are trying to do gap years, and more people, like you said, are planning ahead and kind of really mapping out their future. And I think that if that's becoming the norm, then medical schools, when they're seeing all these applicants, will understand that you can't go straight through, and that spending an extra year getting more experience will be a good thing.
Yeah.
So tell me about volunteering and what that's like. How do you get a spot volunteering? Everybody wants to know, where should I volunteer? How do I do it? How do you get accepted somewhere? And what are good places to volunteer? Is there a strategy behind it, or can you just kind of do whatever you want?
Well, I actually work at a dental clinic. It's called Good Samaritan Dental Clinic in Rochester. It's based on the Salvation Army. So we get people coming in with low income, no insurance, and I'm the assistant. So I'm sucking up the blood and saliva and like giving the water and the people you usually don't like. But I really enjoy it a lot more than I thought I would.
Wow.
I chose it. I actually was recommended through my dentist.
Oh, that's so
She was like, hey, you should just like check in and, try it out. And I'm like, you know what? It's a good idea. And I really enjoy it. There'll be days when I come out of the office, I'm like, I don't want to talk to people. I am tired. I've been up since 4:30.
Oh,
and I'm like, wait, Hannah, you like this? Please go. And I come out and I'm in the best mood.
Oh, really?
And I think that's what solidified my wanting to be in the medicine track. People would thank me. And the one girl came up to me after we removed 5 of her teeth. And she's like, you're so nice.
Oh.
I was like, really? I'm like, I've just been helping the dentist, the doctor, remove your teeth. I don't feel entitled to get this, and yet you're saying
appreciate it.
You're nice, and it was touching. And then I'm driving home, and I'm thinking about this. I'm like, this is what I want to do.
Yeah.
Maybe not in the dentist like the dental area, but I love doing it, and a lot more than I thought I would. It's heartwarming.
That's so good.
So yeah, and I know that at least where I go to school, there's the Children's Hospital of Atlanta, CHOA, that people like to volunteer at. There's like, I think, high school outreach programs, but I'm really interested in that now because I tried this and I really enjoy it. So yeah,
that's great. So with you, because you have swimming and all of your academic things, you're kind of doing your volunteer work more in the summer. Is that right?
Yeah. I think this was basically the first summer where I'm like, okay, I need to get myself on track, and try to get my hours, but not just get my hours, because people don't want, like, people who kind of coordinate these programs don't want people showing up and saying, I'm just here to get my hours for volunteering so I can go to med school.
Right.
And I can't go into something like that and do that. So I was like, well, let's try to find something I really enjoy. And so this summer is what I said, okay, I need to find something that I think would be interested in. My dentist was like, yeah, go to Good Samaritan. And so I tried it out. And that's what I'm doing. I'm coming back during Christmas. I love it that much.
Oh, that's so great.
I was like, Pam, who coordinates, and I'm like, are you guys open during December? And she's like, yeah. I'm like, can I come back, please? I miss you guys.
That's so good.
So that's what I'm doing, and I'm so limited in time in the school year because I use my weekends and my afternoons to swim and study.
Right.
But I'm going to see if I can find like something to put aside my time to, or if I can get a hold of with CHOA. I know there's usually a waiting list, but we will see.
Yes, it's hard to volunteer in hospitals.
Yeah.
There's a lot of hoops to jump through, and like you said, there aren't always spots or openings.
No, I actually called in on time, but there was apparently a waiting list for this dental place.
Really?
Yeah. And
Wow. But I really like that the way that you're doing it, because you know that, like you said, you only have a limited amount of time, and there are these things that you need to do for your application, like shadowing and volunteering. And so for you to do a bulk of that over the summer, but then continue to carry through, like doing some in December, I think that's perfect, because then you can still do it and fit it into your life, but you don't have to volunteer 365 for the whole year, because there's no way you're going to be able to do that with swimming and studying and everything else.
Some people do, and I really commend them, but it's just my schedule.
Yeah.
I'm trying. I'm definitely trying. I want to continue something in the school year. I have to find it, but
I mean, I think you just have to do what works for you, because everybody's schedule is different. You're an athlete. Other people have other commitments and other things they're doing, like commitments to their family, or people have to work while they're in school. And so
clubs or
leadership, all these things.
And I think the key to doing that is just finding what works for you, because you don't want to overbook yourself, be miserable, have like grades going down, no social life. And I think some people tend to do that, and some people, it's honestly just what works for you. And I think I found a happy medium, and I'm in a good place right now, and I'm excited to start the new school year. So, yeah.
That's really good. And what I want to ask you, too, because I get lots of people asking me about the whole pre-med community in college, people saying, is it really cutthroat, and are people very negative? And I just did a podcast recently, and they asked me, did you have to deal with these people trying to be like negative and sneaky, or everybody's trying to beat each other? And I never experienced that. Do you experience that?
I actually don't experience that.
Okay.
I mean,
do you know what I mean, though? Everybody's competitive and trying to beat the other person.
There's always those people. There always will be those people. I try not to be one of them. I like to help and be helped. I think in the medical field, you're working with other people. You have colleagues. You need to be able. I know for labs, they coordinate. Where you're like, if I'm working on this paper, can you help me? I know we got one of our cell lines from a completely different lab.
Oh, that's so good.
And so you need to kind of foster that team building. And I think I don't think it's competitive. I think trying to get good grades, Emory's hard, I'm not going to lie. A bunch of weed out classes, and people get intense, but I don't think competitive. I've been offered for like my classes, like, hey, do you want to study with me? Especially Orgo, like, hey, let's go over these formulas. And I'm like, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
I'll definitely study with you. And it's a peer and bonding and team building.
Good.
And I mean, I know some schools, especially business schools, our business school does bell curve, so it's like more competitive.
Yes.
But our pre-med side doesn't, so I don't understand why it would be that competitive. We're not
everybody can do well.
Yeah.
It's very refreshing to hear that, and it makes me feel better because I really do get a ton of people asking questions like, how am I going to deal with people trying to be sneaky or trying to hurt me or giving me bad information or keeping things from me, and all of this stuff that I never really experienced in medical school or as a pre-med, and I'm glad that it still hasn't become that way.
Yeah.
That's really good. So do you feel like you have like a community of pre-meds that you guys all kind of study together or help each other kind of plan out your application, or what steps you need to do?
I haven't gotten to the application part.
Exactly. That's true.
I'm taking another year. I find my group within the swim team because, as you see, there's basically Emory people from all over come. I'm from the Midwest. There's a bunch of East Coasterners, some West Coast, all over, Southern, and they all kind of congregate, at least in my swim team. And so that we have business, we have liberal arts, and then we have the pre-med girls, and I kind of like to just kind of keep in touch, like, hey, what are you doing? What are you taking? A lot of us are starting, I would say the first 2 years, there's different tracks you can take to get to the pre-med. And so, like, I took chem first year, where my friends have taken bio. But I think coming back this year as a junior, we're kind of on the same page. Yeah, so my community is in the swim team. Also in my sorority, there's a couple girls. A lot of them are on the business side, but there's a couple pre-med. I'm always like checking in, like, hey, what are you doing? What's up?
Exactly.
I've studied with a couple girls.
No, that's really good. I think it's good to have a community where everybody's supportive, and you're right, you're still kind of getting into that. You've only done the first 2 years.
I would say the first 2 years for me were the weed out classes, like the grind where you're trying to get the Gen Chem, bio, intro to bio, and organic chemistry, and now I'm in a place where I can take the electives and take what I'm really interested in. I'm taking like organism, form, and function. Oh, cool. So it's really, I think it sounds interesting.
Sounds cool, yeah. That sounds really good. So where do you get your information from then? Because do you rely on either a pre-med advisor, or are you just kind of trying to get through those weed out classes first, or do you use social media? Or where are people finding out? Because when I was going through it, it was like a big secret, and nobody knew. You know, I struggled finding out, like, how do I know which classes to take when, and when to take MCAT, and all that stuff.
So my second year as a sophomore, you kind of start, the college starts preparing you for pre-med. They're like, okay, if you're like a pre-med track, you need to meet with an advisor. I finally got a set advisor in the bio department, and I'm in touch with like a counselor who works on pre-med. And as a sophomore, there's like 2 meetings. You go to a general meeting, and then you go to a one-on-one meeting. And so she kind of told me, like, what do I need to fix? What do I need to do more of? What am I good? Where am I good in the areas?
I see.
And so I kind of have a little bit of a track for classes, what to take. I mean, you'll get, if you apply for a major, they tell you you need to take this many of this area, this many of this area, this, in this class. And so I'm just like kind of checking it off as I go and working my schedule in for the next 2 years. Yeah, so it's been a lot of planning on my part, but I am getting help. And you can, if you want more help, they're always available. Every college is going to have counselors and advisors and people who will tell you and will help you, because we need that. Yes. So it's good that you have support from your university. Do you think people are turning more to things like YouTube or blogs? Or I always wonder, because none of that was around when I was going through, but there's so many like amazing medical students on YouTube now, and like all kinds of really cool resources. I have been looking up stuff. I've entered the internet area, the internet world for medicine. I love to watch beauty YouTube videos. So I'm always like kind of on the YouTube side of the spectrum, and I do like for information, like what I should do, or like even for polycystic kidney disease, I looked up on YouTube, like what does this look like in real life? What is it? And I think people are turning to that because there's so much on the internet, and everyone knows that, and lots of people want to share and are willing to share information because you need it. It's so cutthroat now.
Yes, that's good. It's good to hear. I think it's an amazing resource, being able to see everybody's different journeys, and the way that people get there is different, but it's good to see, like, well, they did it this way, and somebody else did it this way, and there's lots of different paths to get to medical school. Okay, so different topic, but I know you said you're a biology major, but you also have a different minor, and I wanted to ask you about that.
I'm an art history minor. I appreciate art, and I actually really hate history, but I took this Art History 101 class first semester of freshman year. I'm like, okay, I'm just going to try it out. And I actually really liked it. I'm pretty good at memorizing, like, random stuff. So I was like, wow.
That's going to be very helpful.
So I was like, well, I want to take more classes of this. And it fulfilled a bunch of general requirements. So I kept with it, and I'm still going with it. I'm like, well, might as well make it a minor. It balances out all of the science and the math I have to take. So it's a nice even, I get some, like, creativity, and I get some, like, biology. I wish there was, like, a combined class, because that'd be great to check off for both major and minor, but there isn't. But I really appreciate it, because it's kind of refreshing to come in, like, okay, I can get a break from all the science and just use my mind and kind of relaxing. And I know some people would think, like, taking notes for an hour straight about, like, a piece of Baroque is relaxing, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's really good to have something non-science that can balance you out, either a major or a minor. Did you go into school knowing you wanted some other kind of minor or another major?
No, I actually didn't. I was like, okay, well, I think I'm going to be a bio major, so I'm just going to focus on that. Yeah. And then, I think middle of freshman year, I was like, well, what if I do this minor? Yeah. Can I fit it in? And I can. It's going to be up until the end of my senior year. I'm going to be going hard, but I can fit it in. And I was really excited because I'm like, well, this is nice. Just kind of give me, like, a little bit of a hobby. Right. Not really a hobby, but a hobby to go in that direction. Yeah. And it's just nice to have that information under your belt, because I can go now to museums and be like, Dad, look at that. I know what that is. I studied that.
Yes, I think that's so cool. And it's something that enriches you as a person and helps you with your life. That's exactly how I felt about my English major, because it was exactly what you said. It was such a break to be able to read poetry or read these novels that I never would have read, but now you are forced to, like, learn about art or whatever.
I took a contemporary art class second semester of my freshman year, and it was basically we studied, like, 3 vacuums stacked on top of each other, and I was like, I would not appreciate this if I didn't take the class.
Yes. It opens your mind and
teaches
you how to see those things.
Yeah.
That is really cool. Do you think that people are always asking me, like, what's the best major for pre-med? What should I major in? Do I have to be a bio or chem major? Yeah. Have you found that?
I know people tend to look at that, or I think actually students have caught on where I think med schools want you to major in something different. Yes. They're like, well, I'm going to major in Spanish, but take pre-med courses so I can go to med school. Yeah. And I looked at that, I'm like, okay, I actually really like bio, though. Right. So I'm taking bio, but I have art history as a minor. Exactly. If I would have done art history as a major, it'd be a lot of kind of intertwining classes, and I don't think I'd actually be able to fit it in. Yeah. I know some
because you still have a lot of science classes. Yeah, a lot.
I have to. Yeah, it's quite of a load. At least at my university, I know at some universities, people are like, oh, I can double major and graduate by my middle of junior year. That's what my friend did. And I'm like, I can't do that.
No,
I mean, I would love to do that, but I can't do that. So it's just like what worked with. My schedule and swimming also comes into play with it, and it's just what works best for me. And I'm fortunate that I can take art history as a minor. Maybe I can't. I don't know if I'd be able to double major, but just because I'm taking this and I'm interested in it, I really like it. I'm happy.
Yeah. I love that. I really recommend people adding another minor or, if possible, another major in something totally different, or majoring in something completely different. Yeah. But if you love biology, then you love biology. You know, you shouldn't, it shouldn't be strategic. It should be what you like and what you feel like is going to make you a better person.
Yeah.
Right?
If you walk into an interview and they're like, oh, what did you study?
Yeah.
Tell me about yourself. And you just say, oh, I bio, but you're not passionate about it. I feel like that they catch on to that.
Yep. Exactly. All right, so for this last little bit, I want you to give us your best time management strategies because you are a time management extraordinaire. So for everybody out there, what are your kind of best tips for time management?
So as a student, your goal, but you're paying a lot of money to study. That's like the basis of college and wherever you go, even med school.
Yep.
So you need to be focused on that, but doing it for too long, too often, you're going to go crazy.
Yes.
It's a fact. And my best tip is to kind of on my really busy days, I always use a planner. A lot of students do that, or like on the computer or the calendar. On my really busy days, I'll make a to-do list, and if it's that hectic, I'll write by the hour what I'm doing.
Yes.
So I wake up around 5:30 for morning practice. We swim from 6 to 8. My class will be at 9, so I'll get breakfast in between then, and then I'll have class until like 12. And I'm like, okay, when I'm done, I'm gonna have lunch, and I'm gonna hit the books, find like a little nook. I love coffee shops. I'm kind of a coffee fiend. But those are my favorite places to study.
Nice.
So I hit the books for like 2-3 hours, take a break, maybe watch a couple YouTube videos.
Totally.
I'll have practice again, and then eat and study again, and maybe like stop in to say hi with friends if I have time, or like study with friends. But I just make it kind of a schedule.
Yeah.
And stay on top, but remember to give yourself breaks because you need that. And food breaks are good too.
Definitely. Those are my favorite breaks.
But yeah, those are that's kind of like my big tip is just to make sure it's even, or not even, but balanced so that you don't drive yourself crazy.
Right.
Because if I didn't, there's been times where I've sat in the room for 6 hours straight. And by the time I'm done, I'm like, I can't think. Like, I'm a little shaky. I haven't had anything to eat.
Yeah.
I need to calm down.
Right. And you reach a point of kind of diminishing returns where your productivity and how much you're getting out of the information kind of isn't as high as it was.
And how late you're staying up.
Yes.
I haven't stayed past 2.
Okay.
Which seems late, but for at least a student at Emory, depending who you are, that's early.
Whoa.
And that's not often at all. That'll be like once a month. Or maybe probably once every 2 months.
Okay.
I'm good at managing my time where I'm done usually by 10. And I go to bed really around 10:30 and 11. I'm also a student athlete, so I have to make sure I'm in bed early.
Right, because you have a workout in the morning.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big schedule, but 3 days a week I have practice in the morning. And so I'm like, I can't be up till 3. I have to wake up in 2 hours.
Yeah, exactly.
So I can't function the next day.
Right. And you can't learn. You can't study. You can't retain information. They always say, if you have a choice between going to bed or continuing to study, you should definitely go to bed. I think I pulled an all-nighter once in medical school. I can't remember in college. I don't think ever in college.
No. And I'll have so much to do, but I won't pull an all-nighter. I'm like, well, I'll go to bed at like 12 and I'll wake up a little early to do my homework.
Exactly. Because then you're more productive. And then you're using your time more wisely.
And you sit in the coffee shop, drink coffee, add like a little pastry, and be like, okay, well, this is nicer at 7 in the morning versus at 4 in the morning.
Yes.
So.
Yes. Okay. Awesome tip. So use a planner, schedule out your day, be organized, stay on top of it. I mean, these are all things that we know, but to hear from someone who's actually doing them, and you have so much going on, you have a major and a minor, you're a swimmer, you're in a sorority, you're volunteering, you're doing research, you're publishing papers. I mean, it's like endless, everything that you're doing. So,
but I am definitely not the only one. You'll talk to students at Emory, and they're like, "Oh, I'm doing this. I'm in this club, and this club, and this club." And I volunteer at CHOA, and then you'll get a student athlete who's doing that, and it's like, wow, it's a lot.
It is a lot. It is a lot.
I don't know. That's what we do.
Yeah, and as long as you're enjoying it, and you have to be having a good time.
Yeah, I think you really have to like your major, because I'm realizing as I'm getting older, and I'm like, well, can I do this for the rest of my life? And I'm realizing that research solely on its own might not be for me.
Yes.
But working with patients and that patient interaction is what I really like. And I think, and that's what's good about doing internships and getting experience is you figure out what you like, what you want, where's your end goal. Yes. And I'm slowly but surely figuring that out. And I'm really happy I am.
Yeah.
Because this is med school and becoming a doctor and fellowship and residency, that's not a small time commitment.
No, it's your whole life.
Yeah, I mean, if
it's
I
huge.
do make it to med school and do fellowship and do residency, I won't be done until I'm like 30.
Yeah.
And there I'm like
30
a third of the way done.
Yeah.
So you have to be committed. You have to enjoy it. And I think by doing stuff like this and trying to immersing yourself with it,
yes,
you'll figure it out before it's too late.
Yeah,
I would say. And I think I'm at a good place. So
I think you're doing awesome. I think you're just killing it in the pre-med world. So thank you so much for answering all these questions. I hope you all got a ton of inspiration, motivation, got some questions answered. If you have any tips about being a pre-med or what life is like as a pre-med now, leave them in the comments below because we'd love to hear from you, your best time management tips or your best strategies for kind of managing life as a pre-med with a million clubs and volunteering and research and all that stuff. So we all want to learn from each other. But Hannah, thank you so much. That was great.
It's a pleasure being here.
Thanks, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. Bye.